In this lesson, we will discuss using data shortcuts. If you'd like to follow on with this video, please open the file 0703 usingdatashortcuts.dwg located in the training folder as discussed in the Working with this Dataset video. Data shortcut functionality allows you to reference Civil3d objects into multiple DWG files. Let's go ahead and create some data shortcuts, and then we'll create a new drawing and use the data shortcuts to reference the Civil3d objects. First, let's peruse our drawing and look at the objects that are in this file. If we expand the surfaces category, we notice that there's a combined EG that is actually using the detention pond and EG existing ground surfaces to create the one combined EG. We also have a centerline alignment called bypass 1, and we also have some other centerline alignments that are used for parcel creation. So let's first set our data shortcuts folder to the correct project. So as you navigate down past the actual file name and go to the data shortcuts category, you can simply right click on there and go to set data shortcuts project folder. Notice that the Learning AutoCAD Civil3d Infinite Skills project is the current project. We now want to change that to project 1. So we'll go ahead and select project 1 and click OK. One thing to mention here is that even though this file may not exist in this location, you can set your data shortcut folders to a totally different location. It will automatically store the path and name of the Civil3d object in the data shortcut file, which we will examine after we create them. Click OK, and now that project is the current project where we will create data shortcuts for. Before we go any further, let's make sure that we set the current project, project 1, to this DWG file. To do so, simply right-click on the data shortcuts category and choose Associate Project to Current Drawing. Notice how we have the option to select from the drop-down, select project 1, and then click OK. The purpose of assigning a project is it makes it easier to find data shortcuts should the file get moved into a different location on your server. So let's go ahead and save our file, and now let's go ahead and add some data shortcuts to this project. To do so, simply right-click on the data shortcuts collection and choose Create Data Shortcuts. Notice that within this dialog box, we can do this all in one shot. So let's just go ahead and toggle on Combined EG, and we'll toggle on all of the alignments by selecting the Alignments category. Notice how they all become selected. If these alignments had profiles, you could also toggle on or off the profiles, but it is definitely recommended that the profiles are created in the alignment file. That way you don't have to worry about them being segregated anyway. Notice the option to pick in the drawing. Should you have many objects in your file, you can simply select the Pick in Drawing button and you'll be able to navigate to it graphically. We'll click OK, and you'll notice that we now have those 4 data shortcuts, combined EG, and all the alignments. Notice how it's also showing you the location of the data shortcuts right here. So let's investigate as to what truly happened, because knowing what happened can really help you understand how Civil3d uses these files and what you can do if something goes wrong. So let's navigate to the Project 1 folder that's under Civil3d Projects, Project 1, and notice how there's only a simple underscore shortcuts folder, and within this folder we have subfolders for the different object types that you can create data shortcuts for. So if I expand underscore shortcuts and choose the alignments folder, you'll notice that these are the 3 little files. Notice how they're small 1 kilobyte XML files that point to the Civil3d objects within the one file. It is definitely not recommended to open these files and edit them. You should do so using the Civil3d tools. Let's navigate to the Surfaces folder, and there's the combined EG. So that's all that is happening when you create data shortcuts. It simply creates these XML files, and within the XML files, they save the folder location and the object name within the file. So let's go through a scenario where we're going to actually create a brand new file with nothing in it, and we'll actually create some data references to the objects within our project. First, let's go to the Application menu and choose New, and navigate to your Civil3d Projects folder, Learning AutoCAD Civil3d Infinite Skills, and under Drawings, there's a Learning AutoCAD Civil3d Infinite Skills.dwt file. Let's go ahead and use that to create our brand new file. This file contains all the styles and settings that we want for our project. Let's navigate to Model Space. And now, let's go ahead and save our file. The reason you save your file is that you cannot create data shortcuts unless you have a true file saved. Let's click the Save tool on the Quick Access toolbar. And within our Civil3d Projects, Learning AutoCAD Civil3d Infinite Skills project folder, Under the Drawings folder, let's go ahead and save this as Data Shortcut Testing. We now have a new file. The next step is to associate the project to this drawing. So navigate to the Data Shortcuts collection, right-click, Assign Project to Current Drawing, and choose the Project 1 project. Click OK. That project is now assigned to the DWG file. Go ahead and save your file again. Now let's go ahead and create some data references. I'm going to expand the Surfaces category and right-click on Combine EG and Create Reference. So right off the bat, notice how you can actually keep the same name, or you can call it something totally different if you want to. You can even give it a different description and choose a different style than the style defined in the actual DWG file that's being referenced from. So this is a pretty powerful functionality, as you can actually do analysis on different surfaces within a file that is actually referencing it in. This does not affect the file that the Civil3d object lives in. We'll click OK, do a zoom extent, and there's our surface. Let's navigate to the Prospector tab, Surfaces collection, and notice how there is a shortcut icon next to the existing surface. Notice also that we do not have additional surface editing options because this is a data reference to this surface. So of course, as you would assume, you cannot make any edits within this file. However, we will see in a second that if you make any edits to the file where the data shortcut exists, you will be notified to update the data within your reference files. So let's go ahead and go down to the Data Shortcuts collection. Let's reference in the Bypass 1 alignment. So I'll click on Create Reference. Notice again that you can actually go in here and give it a different name if you wanted to, as well as a different style. I'll keep the same exact style, but again, you can change what labeling you see as well. Click OK, and there's our alignment referenced in. Notice that when I select this file, no grips appear. This is because this reference is, of course, in a different DWG file, just like a reference file. Let's go ahead and actually open this file and make an edit to the alignment to see what happens. So, with this alignment selected, I can now simply right-click and choose Open Source Drawing. That opens the source file where the alignment or Civil3d object that you're referencing exists. I'm going to simply move this out a few feet, like so. I will save my file, and now I'll go back to the other file by using Quick View, and notice that in the lower right corner you will get a balloon notification very similar to a reference file that this shortcut has been changed. I will click the Synchronize button, and immediately the update will appear. If you get an error about the source object for this reference has changed, simply select the appropriate option. I'll go ahead and say Update the reference name, and that's because the surface name had a different name than the one that was in the actual DWG file. As you can see there, it updates automatically, and we're good to go. So data shortcuts provide very powerful functionality in that all Civil3d objects do not need to live in one drawing. You can create as many drawings as necessary based on project collaboration and the size of your project to make working with Civil3d objects faster and more efficient. This concludes this video discussing using data shortcuts.